It's still like, again, as Derek said, rightfully, this is probably concern 1, 2, and 3 for this team in general, right? It's just health, because they've had the talent in the past to maybe not win the title. I think some of their teams they've had have been exaggerated because it's like, oh, Joel was hurt, but they would have won the title if he was healthy.
No, it's at least the first part of getting past the second round.
Yes, you were more in the conversation.
That damn Atlanta season.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the one that really pisses
right.
me
And
off.
you go to the conference finals, and like Milwaukee had injuries during the conference finals and are dealing with problems, and so you at least can have a shot to go to the finals that year. I think 2019 has been overstated. Having a strong 6, but only 6 guys who can play is not really a way to win a title. But they've had talent in the past, and they've been undermined by health issues, specifically to Joel. And now one of your top 3 guys, the guy who has stepped into the shoes that he who shall not be named was wearing up until this season, it's another injury-prone guy. Or I shouldn't say injury-prone, but a guy who's had a checkered health history. And so it's not a way to go into a season feeling like, yes, I feel like there's a stable floor underneath the Sixers. Feel like I can bet on this team confidently that they're going to be there in one piece by the time the season ends. You can't say that. And so anybody who is a little concerned, I get it. I stop short of like, well, burn the team down, trade everybody, the contract's a waste. That's not even just a leap too far. It's like 3 or 4 leaps too far.
Yeah. I would say the next concern a lot of people have outside of injuries, and this was expressed quite a bit yesterday in our PHLY Discord. If you're a diehard member, go sign up and you can read Vince's ramblings. But a lot of people just don't believe in Joel Embiid and Paul George to be options 1 and options 3 on a title winner. And I think everything we will talk after this, if you truly believed in your heart of hearts that Joel Embiid is going to be the same force in May and June that he has been in December, you would be able to overlook that, because every title contender has their flaws. Every title contender is imperfect and has things that you can nitpick on. If you believe that Joel Embiid can do it, then I think you're pretty excited about this team. And a lot of fans will be on both sides of that question. A lot of them will look at it and say, well, he hasn't had talent around him, lack of shooting, lack of spacing, injury concerns. If he's healthy with this team, he can be better. I think there's certainly merit to that. A lot of people have a fatalistic view of Joel Embiid and will not have confidence until he actually does it in the postseason and advances to the conference finals. But I think for a lot of people, again, I'm not saying it's necessarily my concern, but for a lot of people, the number 2 concern is that you just don't believe in maybe 2 of the 3 stars.
And that's a hard thing to get past.
He's going to have to get to the conference finals.
It's very difficult to get past that, especially when you do have the history of the 5 playoff performances where you get to the Eastern Conference semifinals, 4 or 5 where they get to the conference semis and underperform and lose to the Hawks, lose to the Raptors, lose to Boston when you have a 3-2 advantage right there where you can't take advantage of a situation on your home floor to close that one out. That will leave a lot of doubt within your fan base and questioning that very thing, even extending him for that money that he got this offseason, playing for Team USA when you're nursing an injury coming out of a series in which you lost in the first round. Everything is going to be picked at. So when that stuff happens, injury or not, when you get to the regular season, the concern is going to be, and it's a shame because you're talking injury and then level of play. Can you stay healthy? And then when you are healthy, can you perform well enough when you're in that spot to get them over the top? That's a shame. But look, you get paid to do that. You get paid to be the man. You get paid to be the best player in your team. You get paid to be one of the faces of the entire NBA. He has to go out there and do that. And until he does it, there's going to be criticism all the way around. If they get the 3rd seed and it looks like they probably should have gotten the 2nd seed, people are going to pick at that because he didn't play enough games. If he played enough games, maybe they would have been able to jump up to number 2 instead of number 3, and they can start the series at home instead of on the road. If he plays 5 minutes in the All-Star game because he was voted in, and people say, why is he not resting? All of this is stuff that is from what happened before. It just continues to pile up and pile up and pile up. So the concern about him being able to perform in the postseason, everything is going to be picked at. It's that one scab that just continues to be picked at over and over and over again. And it is self-inflicted.
Rightfully so. Like,
Yes.
look, we can all, I've said this 100 times to you guys here. We can go through and make every excuse if we wanted to and say, look, he had this injury that was this freak thing, and Ben Simmons was the point guard, and Tobias was this guy, and look at the plus minus, and look at his raw stats from the Knicks series. The bottom line is he hasn't been good enough to get them to that next level for one reason or another.
Yep.
Some of that has been health. Some of that has been performance. Some of that is like mental sharpness, mental awareness, valuing the basketball. We hammered this during the playoffs last year. As great as Joel was at times, he averaged 33 points a game and shot well, had a 50-point game. He had a half paralyzed face and a messed up leg, and all that's admirable. But all that being said, there were stretches in like third quarters of games where they could have turned a game from they're up by 5 to 10 points into they're up by 20 and the game is over and the Knicks are packing it in to, Joel just turned the ball over 3 times in 4 possessions.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's a close game that they have to go out and win in crunch time with the guy who's hobbled, with the guy whose conditioning base is not there, because it's all of it, right? And so people who have skepticism about Joel as championship number 1, that's justified by the results and by things like that, in spite of all the excuses you could make. So absolutely, anybody who says it's put up or shut up time, it absolutely is. I 100% agree with you. This is full stop the best roster 1 to 15 that they have had since Joel Embiid has been on this team. They've had maybe better top 5, top 6s. You could argue the 2019 year. They were the number 1 seed in the league with him and Ben, with not the deepest team, but a team that fit well together. This is top to bottom the best team that they've had. Maxey is the best counterpart for him. Paul George is the best number 3 guy in terms of both his skill set and his talent. So nobody wants to hear the excuses. I'm on board with that. I'm a believer in Joel. I get into arguments with Vince and other people all the time about you can't trade him. It's a path to nothing for the foreseeable future, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean I'm going to sit here and be like, well, if they don't win, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Of course he needs to put up results. You can't take pot shots at guys like Jokic and call yourself, the best player in the league, the MVP, all that. And then when the chips are down and you need to make stuff happen, fold. That's if you want to be that guy, the dude at the top of the pyramid in the NBA, you need to deliver. Period, point blank, end of discussion.
And part of that is now the new discussion of what was revealed, some of it in Tim Bontemps' story from ESPN of the Tim Duncan effect of worrying about making sure that he goes that
and we
route.
love hearing stuff like that.
That's where it begins. You get a new season, it begins. Now, will you do anything with it? Will you follow up on that? It all looks great. You're saying all the right things. And then when the season starts, are you going to have the same results, or is it going to be different? Is it going to be different where you do get to another game 6 or game 7 situation in the second round? You do your part, but others don't. What do you now do in that moment to uplift, to do that next extra small thing to help win by 1 point? So all you need is 1 point to defeat your opponent to advance and move on to that Eastern Conference final. So even if he does play well, we're going to go back. Like Al was saying in the chat in that game 7 against the Hawks, he had 8 turnovers. But it wasn't this. I mean, that's a bad part of it, but we always go back to the Simmons piece of it, of passing to Matisse Thybulle. But there were so many other things. From Seth Curry couldn't defend Kevin Huerter. Yep. Right? He couldn't. Now, Seth was
Doc
scoring
Rivers couldn't adjust to Seth Curry not being able to defend Kevin Huerter.
He was scoring on the other end, but what did he do? He gave up just the same amount of number on the other end. And you needed something to combat that. And Simmons didn't do his part. Embiid turned the basketball over. Tobias Harris maybe didn't do his part in that game also. So it all it all went downhill from there for the Sixers. First of all, they shouldn't have lost game 1 and then 2 20-point leads in that series anyway. And
that game 5 is one of the most
ridiculous.
Disgraceful halves in the history of this franchise.
Never been a game 7 against the Atlanta Hawks. We're getting off topic, but I'm just bringing up to Al's point. There's always something. And if
Is there any other negative memories you would like to relive? Because
there's plenty of them out there.
we can go. It's just the point of it is he's going to have to do the next thing to make sure he gets over the top. So even if he's having a great game and Tyrese Maxey is off, it's probably going to go back to him of, well, did you get that extra rebound? Did you grab that extra loose ball? Did you make that extra pass? Because you are the face of this franchise. It's all on you to get them over that hump. So there's a lot there. And look, we have 82 games of talking about them, some of them him, but a lot of them, all of them in totality, where this is going to be a fun conversation all season long.
We all silly like the mayor.